rejoice and be glad in it. We are so thankful for all of our visitors this morning. If you have any questions, let me know after services, and we'll be sure to answer those. And if there's anything we can help you with, please don't hesitate to ask. This morning we are starting a new study dealing with love. We'll be looking at these every month this year. They are sitting back here on this back table if you want to get one. They are short verses. Some of them are just one or two verses per day that you read. It's not a normal read your Bible in a year type of thing to where you're reading a bunch of chapters. And each month has a theme. Last month was a new beginning, and this month it's no greater love. So if you want one of those, pick them up. And like I said, we will be going over those scriptures throughout the month. So again, they're back there if you want them. Again, we're going to be dealing with love because this is considered the love month. At least February 14th is for most people. And so we were talking about that. The first verse that we're going to look at this morning is the last verse of 1 Corinthians 13, which is considered the love chapter in the Bible. And we're going to read that this morning and go over that, okay? But I want to start off with the last verse because it is very profound, and we're going to be looking at this verse several times and what it means. 1 Corinthians 13:13. Now abide faith, hope, and love. Okay? And we look at those, and that's something that every Christian should have. We're going to have faith. Okay? We're going to have faith in God, faith in Jesus, faith in heaven. Okay? A lot of things that we have faith in, the faith in the scriptures and everything that it's talking about is true. We have hope. Hope in heaven. Okay? Hope that everything, again, is true, and hope and faith kind of go hand in hand, I think. And then love. And we've seen a lot of scriptures so far this year dealing with love, and we're going to look at it a lot more this month about love and how important that is. And when you look at these three words, these three ideas, you know, we might think that, faith is more important than love or hope. These three, but the greatest of these is love. And so that's what we're going to be dealing with this month, is why is it that love is greater than faith and hope? And of course, faith, we read about that in Hebrews 11, verse 1, is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. You know, we hope in heaven, we hope that God exists. We've never seen anything, dealing with that. But that's what faith is. And so that's the reason that we think that might be more important. So let's go through and read 1 Corinthians 13, starting in verse 1. Though I speak with the tongues of men and of angels. Speaking with the tongues of men. I looked it up. The 22nd edition of the Language Encyclopedia, Ethnologue, in 2019, there were 6,909 distinct languages in the world. Wow. However, the exact number can vary due to complexity of defining and enumerating languages. Another source mentions that there are 7,151 recognized languages. And please note that these numbers change slightly since then. So 6,900, 7,100, let's round it between them and say there's 7,000 languages in the world. Though I speak the 7,000 languages of men and of angels, whatever language they speak, if there is such a thing as a language as we know of it, okay? But have not love, I have become a sounding brass or a clanging cymbal. One young year when our girls were young, Kathy's parents gave them, it was a little wooden duck on a wooden pole, and the wheels were the duck's leg or feet, and they had little flapper, rubber flapper feet. And so when you rolled the duck, flap, 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 down up and down the trailer all weekend. And so when we went to leave, we decided, you know what, that toy needs to stay here with the grandparents, Or if you've given your kids, drums, if you're stupid enough to give your kids drums for Christmas, and they bang, 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 especially the cymbal, cling, 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 it gets aggravating after a while. And that's what Paul is saying here, that you can know all 7,000 languages of man, and however the angels speak, but if you do not have love, you're an annoying sounding cymbal. Love is that important. Verse 2, and though I have the gift of prophecy, and we've talked a lot about that here recently, and understand all mysteries and all knowledge, and though I have all faith so that I can move mountains. Okay, so we've talked about being able to speak languages all the way around the world, and here it is knowledge to where you can prophesy, and you understand all mysteries. There is nothing that you do not know. You're smarter than Einstein. And you have all the faith so that you can move Mount Spokane over to here, okay, so you can see it. But you do not have love. You do not have love in your body. You do not have love for your fellow mankind. You're nothing. Are you starting to see how important love is in our life? You can speak to anybody in the world. You can have the knowledge to understand anything. But you don't have love. You're nothing. Verse 3. And though I bestow all my goods to feed the poor, and though I give my body to be burned, okay, so you have the knowledge, you have the languages, and you can feed the poor with everything that you know, okay, and you do not have love, it profits me nothing. So it doesn't matter what you know, how smart you are, what you own, what you have, kind of like what we were talking about this morning in class, okay? But you do not simply love. You are nothing, and it profits you nothing. Paul has given us a few examples of how important love is. So what is love? Paul tells us, verse 4, love, true love, suffers long and is kind. I've had somebody here recently, ask me how long I've been married, and I said 45 years. Wow, that's a long time. Yeah, it is. You know how you get to that? Is love suffers long and is kind. Love does not envy. It doesn't matter about who you are, what you have. Love does not envy. Love does not parade, and I put in there boastful itself. It is not puffed up. Love does not desire or seek its own praise, or honor before others, or profit, or pleasure, or boasting. It is not puffed up. Have you ever seen a turkey during mating season? A male turkey can be this big, wide. But a female walks around, poof, he's this big. We lived in an apartment, and I was between our garage units, and behind there was a tennis court. And I heard this noise. It's like, what in the world is that? And I walked around and peeked around, and there was a turkey, big Tom turkey, puffing up himself for his female. And he blows out his feathers. And his wingtips, he drags down on the ground and wiggles them. And that's what I was hearing, was this noise of his wingtips dragging the ground. And he's puffing himself up and shaking himself so the air is flowing through his, and he's just making this weird, awful racket, trying to be, the big Tom on the block, trying to get the attention of this woman. That's not love for us. It's love for him, okay? But it's not love for us as humans. We shouldn't be puffing ourselves up to be somebody that we're not. Because as soon as he's done, whoop, he deflates, That's not who he is. This is who he is. Verse 5, love does not behave rudely, does not seek its own, is not provoked, and thinks no evil. The phrase seems to be a very comprehensive one, implying that love is neither suspicious or implacable, nor retentive in her memory of evil done. Love rights our personal wrongs in ashes or in water. Now, I kind of thought about that for a minute. If you write your problems in water, how long does it last? It doesn't. Or if you write it in ashes, the first puff of wind, and they're all gone. And that's how love should be with problems and issues. That's how it suffers long, because you don't remember them. You don't concentrate on them. It means that love is not malicious, disposed to find fault, or to impute improper motives to others. Love makes allowances for the faults of others and is ready to put on them a charitable construction. Love, so far from devising evil against another, excuses the evil which another inflicts on them. Love does not meditate upon evil inflicted by another, and in doubtful cases takes a more charitable view. Okay? Love does not behave rudely. If you love somebody and they love you, they shouldn't treat you rudely. It doesn't speak evil of its own. It is not provoked. You might get mad, you might get upset with somebody, but it doesn't provoke you to do things. And it doesn't think evil. It doesn't think evil thoughts. Verse 6, love does not rejoice in iniquity, but rejoices in the truth. Immoral or grossly unfair behavior. In the New Testament, iniquity stands for anomia, which equals properly the construction of one without law, which is lawlessness. That's not what love is. Okay? Love helps each other. It rejoices in the truth, not in the false lies. And then verse 7, love bears all things. Love bears all things. Love hopes all things. And love endures all things. A lot of wedding vows, they say, for better or worse, for richer or poor, for sickness and in health. People are going to face those things and more. And if you love the other person, you're going to be willing to go through all those. You're going to endure all those problems, all those issues, all those ups, all those downs. Why? Because you truly love your spouse. Love takes the best and kindest views of all men and women and all circumstances, as long as it is possible to do so. Love is entirely alien from the spirit of the cynic, the pessimist, the eccentrical, the rival, the annoyed, the anonymous slanderer, and the secret distractor. Okay? Love hopes all things and believes in all things. Verse 8. Love never fails. Never. Think about that a second. Love never fails. But whether there are prophecies, they will fail. Unless they're from the Old Testament, from the Bible. Every single 100% of the prophecies in the Bible have come true. Outside of that, you look at Nostradamus. He's made a few prophecies that have come true, but not all of them. Okay? They will fail. Whether there are tongues, and we said 7,000 tongues, they will cease. Unfortunately, some people have died off, and that language does not exist anymore. Whether there is knowledge, it will vanish away. I just turned 65 yesterday, and I'm not as smart as I was when I was 20, when I knew it all. We have a plaque somewhere that's a German saying, and it translates that if we knew, only the troubles of life would come when we were young, when we knew everything. For we know in part, and we prophesy in part. In other words, we don't know everything. But when that which is perfect has come, then that which is in part will be done away. When that which is perfect, there's only been one person, will ever be only one person that is perfect in everything, and that was Jesus. When he comes back for the second time, then that which is in part, which is us, we don't know everything, will be done away with. Our bodies will be done away with. Okay? Verse 11. When I was a child, I spoke as a child. I understood as a child. I thought as a child. But when I became a man, I put away childish things. Every single one of us at one point was a child. And we spoke like a child. Okay? A lot of times it's garbly when you first start off. You don't understand it. But then you start picking up on words. Okay? And when you talk, it's childish talk. The things that they say. You understood things as a child. Have you ever been around when you was a child or business as an adult and you need to have an adult talk? So you send the kids off to the room or you go to a different room so the adults can talk. Okay? There's some things that kids are not going to understand. There are some things that adults need to talk about that kids don't need to hear. Okay? And you used to play as a child. You had games, hopscotch, and Kathy and I were talking about that, tiddlywinks and, marbles and, different things that you played as a kid that you don't play as an adult. You're above that now because you're an adult. Okay? But when you became a man or a woman, you put away all those childish things. Somewhere upstairs, I have a box. It reads old toys. I still have some of my Army men. I still have my, what were they? I can't remember what they're called now. Trolls and, different toys and things like that. But I don't play with them anymore. Okay? You put away those childish things, those childish thoughts. Kathy, stop laughing. But you put those things away and you do adult things, you adult talk. And that's what they're talking about here. Verse 12, for now we see in a mirror dimly, but then face to face. I looked this up and what it was talking about was the first mirrors came into existence. They were made by the Egyptians about 3,000 years before Christ. And they would take like a metal plate or a disc and really polish it up. And they were made out of bronze and copper. But you can imagine, have you ever done that? Taken up a silver platter and look at yourself? And you can see a resemblance of yourself, but it's not as clear as when you look in a mirror. Okay? And especially if you're looking in a mirror and to see somebody behind you, you can see a blurb back there, but you wouldn't be able to tell who it is. And that's what he's talking about here, that you can see through a mirror dimly, okay, because you couldn't really make it out. But then you turn around and you look at that person face to face, and you can see them, and you can make details out. that they have long brown hair and cute little smile and, whatever. And that's what they're talking about here. Now I know in part, but then I shall know just as I also am known. Okay? There's going to be that time when Jesus comes, whether it's in our lifetime or not, to where our knowledge in part's going to be done away with. And that's what Paul is talking about. And then verse 13. And now abide faith, hope, and love. These three, but the greatest of these is love. Okay? Faith is something important, something that we need. And we have hope. And we should also have love. And out of those three, love is the greatest. 1 Corinthians 16, verse 13. Here we are. Watch. Stand fast in the faith. Be brave. Be strong. Let all that you do be done with love. Paul is closing out his letter to the Corinthians, and he ends his letter with these final exhortations. Watch. Watch for Jesus to come again. Again, like we talked about in class, we don't know when that is, but we need to constantly be watching. Be ready is the key thing there. Stand fast in the faith. There's that word again. We need to stand fast in what we believe in. We need to stand fast in the things that we can't see, but we hope that they're true. Stand fast in that. Be brave and be strong in your Christianity, not physically. Let everything you say, everything you do, everything, all be done with love. Do you do that? That's a question that you don't have to answer. Do you do everything, every day, in love? I've been dry this morning. Let's go back to Proverbs 17:9. He who covers a transgression seeks love. You've been married 30, 40, 50, 60. I can't remember, my parents were, I think, 70 years, something like that. 67, Kathy said. There's a lot of things that happens in a marriage. Well, you've been married 5 years. Okay? That your mate is going to mess up. Love overlooks that. Love covers that up. But he who repeats a matter separates friends. But he who repeats a matter separates friends. We've got to be careful. We can't just keep sinning. We can't just keep causing problems and doing things over and over and over again. Okay? But love should cover those issues. Colossians 3, verses 12 through 14. Therefore, as the elect of God, holy and beloved, these are things that we as Christians should put on. These are ways that we as Christians should live. Okay? And Paul is going to tell us these. As the elect of God, holy and beloved, put on tender mercies. Be kind to each other. Okay? With kindness, humility, meekness, and long-suffering. These are things that we as Christians should be practicing every day. Bearing with one another forgiving one another. Even as Christ forgave you, so you also must do. Christ has forgiven us of our sins. So, in turn, we must forgive our brothers and sisters who wrong us. Verse 14, but above all these things, everything that we just looked at, meekness, humility, long-suffering, kindness, the mercies, bearing with one another, forgiving one another. Above all these things, put on love, which is the bond of perfection. He doesn't tell us to increase your faith. He doesn't tell you to increase your hope, but to increase your love. Do everything in love. Faith, hope, and love. But the greatest is love. We can't forget that. I had some more scriptures I was going to read this morning. A story about love. We'll go over that next week. So I'm going to end here for time. But this is a good entry, I think, into love for this month. Knowing what love is, how love is supposed to affect our life, how we are to treat others with love, how that needs to be our most important thing in our life, above faith and above hope, in which you might not think, you might think, oh no, my faith is bigger than my love. But no, it's not. Love for each other is what's important. And as we go through this month talking about it, I hope you realize maybe you need to increase your love and how to increase it and what that means. Because as we have seen as a Christian, we need to have love. If there's any way that we can help you this morning, let us know. Let us help you with that. We are here to encourage each other, and that's what we need to do. And we do that by helping each other, sharing with each other. Or maybe you haven't put Christ on in baptism, and that's something that you need to do today. The baptistry is ready. We can take care of that sin problem and make you a part of Christ, so that when he comes again, you will be ready. If there's any way that we can help you this morning, let us know as together we stand and sing.